We got good feedback from the last tips video, so I thought it'd be a good idea to do another one where you could get some quick, actionable, and free insights that can help you in the booth right away. Joining me, other working pros, our private coaches and instructors here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceOverTraining.com. Hey, I'm Mike. Our goal here is to equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover career. Getting right into it, veteran voiceover talent and on-camera actor Aaron Goodson. He's one of our private coaches and leads one of our beginner voiceover intensive classes right here at the studio.
What's going on, y'all? Today's tip is a really important one and very key to any voiceover artist's career, and that is to be flexible. You never know when things are going to change or shift or move. You could be asked to do some improv. You could get a different script at the last minute or have to work in a different space than you're normally used to working in. Anything could happen, but when you keep that positive attitude and are willing to roll with the punches, that flexibility is really important and is really going to make some happy clients. So stay flexible, y'all.
Man, his voice is awesome. And yeah, what Aaron said is so key. We have to remain flexible. So how do you get there? Part of it is a mindset, but it's also you and me putting in the work to be ready for when those jobs come. The more prepared you are, the more flexible you're able to be. Thanks, Aaron. Another veteran voiceover talent, Jill Perry. She's been with us since 2017. She's one of our private coaches at Atlanta Voiceover Studio and also teaches the Beginner Voiceover Intensive. She's here with a tip you may not have thought about.
Welcome to my booth. This is what my tip is about. You should hire a professional electrician to come and install power in your booth. Mine has only one quad. There it is. Full to the hilt. More than full to the hilt. I have doubles plugged into some of these little outlets. And guess what? Not the best way to go. I should hire that same person to come back and do more work and put in a second quad because I run a ring light, a laptop, 2 microphones, a DAW, maybe 2 DAWs. And then on certain days in the winter, I also run a heating pad for my back when I'm doing long sessions or if I have a backache. Or, what else could you want in here? Who knows? You guys might be using other external devices that I haven't even considered. So, proper electricity, grounded outlets, very important. And that's my tip of the week. Get yourself powered up and ready to roll as a pro VO artist.
Yeah, she's got such a cool recording space. Thank you, Jill, for that shocking piece of advice. See what I did there? Shocking. I saw that. You're going to love this next tip, and it's actually one that I have never heard said anywhere, but it's so important. Here is Atlanta Voiceover Studio's Steve Henderson as he breaks it down for you.
You've been told to study radio and TV to get familiar with what the trends are, but are you actually being misled by doing so? Now, don't get me wrong, it's important to know what's popular at the moment, but consider what you're actually hearing. Let me explain. In the production world, there are 3 phases: pre-production, production, and post-production. In the pre-production phase is where all the brainstorming happens. The story is concepted and storyboarded. In the production phase is where all the raw materials are gathered. The video is shot, the music is licensed or composed. The previs on the graphics is discussed and the voiceover is recorded. Now, I'll come back to that in a moment. Post-production is where all the raw materials are sent to be composited and edited together. The video is precisely edited and color-corrected. The graphics are composited. The audio, including the voiceover, is processed, EQ'd, and compressed before it's sent out for air. Now, where voice talent can get misled is by studying this post-produced audio they see on radio, TV, or their devices. They even go into the booth in the raw production phase and try to recreate that post-produced sound they heard on air. That's why so many people sound like they're projecting, or some might even say puking on the mic. Realize you're in the raw production phase and let the audio engineer do their job. It's up to them to record you correctly. It's up to you to bring what's necessary. And that's simply being who you are. Give yourself permission to bring what's needed, not what you think is needed. I hope this helps, and I hope to see you in my character review class one day.
That little nugget is worth its weight in gold. Remember that the next time you're auditioning. As a former morning show DJ and comedian, veteran VO talent Trevor Johns, well, who else could share an embarrassing moment and turn it into a great tip as well as her?
Hi. So I have come to you today with another helpful VO tip. And I learned this the last time I gave a VO tip because I turned in my video with my VO tip on it. I followed the directions, all of that good stuff. But then I got an email back, and it said, you got a bat in the cave. Do you want to send me another one? Can I tell you how embarrassed I was? Oh, God. So embarrassed. And I was like, man, that was like a rookie mistake, you know? I mean, how did I miss that? Thank you, James Younger, audio doctor. So I say to you, pay attention to the details. When you're starting out, you're setting up your process, you're getting into your groove, you know, whether you want to use different colored markers, you know, make a list, something, but pay attention to those details to make sure you follow all the steps that you need to be following. It can also help in your relationships. I have a fairly new agent, and I was always just kind of talking about, well, how's the weather? You know, and I want to have a more genuine relationship than that. And my agent mentioned that they have a dog, and, you know, this dog is like their kid. Next thing you know, we're texting pictures back and forth of our dogs, you know? So wonderful. So pay attention to those details. As we get further down the line in our career, you can, you know, just kind of go through the motions and, you know, maybe you get a little lax with stuff. So regroup. Pay attention to those details because I think it's going to help you.
Yes, there's a bat in the cave. Oh my gosh, what's his name? His name is, Paul, not Giamatti. Okay, it's Paul Giamatti. Yeah, it sounded like Paul Giamatti. That has nothing to do with us. Great advice from Trevor, and it's something that we can't stress enough. The small details add up to the big things, and if you make that little extra effort, it's only going to benefit you. Now, if audiobooks is your thing, have we got a treat for you. Award-winning audiobook guru Kurt Bonham leads our audiobook class here at the studio, and he's got something you may not have even thought about.
So I'd like to talk to you about audiobook demos. Now, I do the air quotes because I don't like to call them demos. They're different than demos in other forms of VO. Say commercial or promo or gaming or animation, your demos will be 1 to 2 minutes that consist of multiple samples of different material. For audiobooks, it's different. An audiobook demo is actually a sample of a single piece of material. So I personally like to call them audiobook samples. Also, unlike other genres of VO, where you'll have one commercial demo, one promo demo, one animation demo, etc. With audiobooks, you're going to have multiple samples, and these will highlight different aspects of what you can do as an audiobook narrator. Might be different genres, so you might have a thriller sample and a romance sample and a nonfiction sample. Or you might want to highlight a particular accent that you're good at with one sample. Or maybe one sample focuses on your male-female dialogue. So audiobook demos are a little bit different than the rest of the VO world, and you do have to have multiple samples in order to highlight all your different skills as a narrator.
To quote Gaston, how do you read this? There are no pictures.
Gaston's funny.
Kurt leads a fantastic 5-week audiobook class where you can learn a ton that'll help you understand what you need to become a force in the audiobook world. Check it out at AtlantaVoiceOverStudio.com. Our next coach, Chloe, has been doing VO since she was a wee lass. She's led our script workouts too for a while, but now she's heading up our agent rep prep course that we wrote to help talent know what to do to get agent representation. And here's something that we should never forget to do. Never forget.
Get it in writing. When I say it, I mean everything. You want to have all of your jobs documented so that you have legal protection because you just never know what could happen. You want to make sure you have your contracts before you record as well. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but you'd be really surprised the number of producers, production companies I've spoken with who've said, oh yeah, we'll just get it to you. And if you have an agent who's working on your behalf, of course, that's their job to make sure that you're taken care of in that way. But just be on top of things. Protect yourself. Oh yeah, and be kind and kick butt. Okay, bye.
We all get it. It's not a fun part for any talent to have to do, the business side and invoicing, but it's so needed, especially if you want to get those dollar bills. Keep track of it all. It's better to have more information than not enough. And then you try and go back and remember, and then it's like, oh, what was that recording? It's happened to me. All right, radio imaging. Have you met my friend Adam? Adam SCHNEIDER is a radio imaging boss. He came out of the production side of radio, and one day he thought, hey, I can actually voice this stuff. And now you can hear him on tons of radio stations around the country. Unfortunately, we can't really play his tip. He was dropping too many F-bombs. Okay, well, James, let's play what we actually do have. Maybe you can clean it up.
audition, have the gig, but delivering, feel like.
Just kidding. Here's his quick and poignant tip.
You ever feel like you get stuck when you're doing an audition or even just when you actually have the gig, but for some reason you're not quite delivering it the way you feel like you should be doing it? Well, one of my favorite things to do is pretty much, I like to call it, just don't give a f. And just usually when you just remove everything you care about and you just kind of almost just say the copy and just deliver it, oftentimes that will give you your most real, authentic take. And oftentimes that's the one that will book.
Solid stuff, Adam, and something we need to remember. Let it go. Did you just bleep me? Mm-hmm. He just bleeped me. Dan Fishman comes at us next with a great analogy that can help you as you navigate some of your auditions. Check this out.
When we think about voiceover, we think about this as a conversation between two people, but it's just one-sided. When we think about acting, we think about the concept of, acting is essentially just listening and reacting. So when I'm thinking about this and I'm mentioning what I'm saying right now, I haven't scripted this. I haven't figured out what I do or don't want to say. I'm just kind of making it up as I go, which is the most real kind of honest take, an honest way for me to speak, for all of us to speak. And that's what we're really looking for in voiceover, is that honesty, is that authentic you, that grounded place where we can come from. Just using somebody else's words if we're using a script for voiceover, which is really a simple idea. But what happens is we start to worry about what it should sound like, how it should sound, which means we start thinking about that. And to borrow from another arena is to say, when you look at a bird in a tree, you look at the bird in the tree and you appreciate the bird. We recognize the colors, maybe you hear a song, but you're just observing, watching the bird in the tree. We're not sitting there thinking, am I watching the bird correctly? For a lot of people are right-eye dominant. Am I right-eye dominant? I don't know. Maybe I should be looking at the bird this way. Maybe my left eye. Should I sit when I watch the bird? Do people expect me to stand? Maybe standing is better. Well, obviously when I'm doing that, I'm not actually paying attention to the bird at all, missing the whole point. And that's what we're doing in voiceover when we start to think, well, what should it sound like? They say they want something high energy. What does high energy sound like? What does it mean to be conversational? What does it mean to be, authoritative? All these things, right? Well, that's like acting sad. You can't act sad. We see right through that. Human beings are too smart. You can be sad, right? We can actually be sad. So when we're trying to work on finding the right voice, what we have to do is create in our minds something that we generally, most of us lose as we get older, which is the ability to really buy into make-believe. Because if we can do that, if we can really buy into it, then we're coming from an honest place. We're coming from a real, authentic place. And if we keep to that idea, then all we have to do is say the words, because we're already there. Just say the words. Just say it. It's nothing complicated. You don't have to follow a specific speech pattern. You don't have to do anything. You just have to say the words because you're living that moment, just like watching the bird. There's only one way to authentically watch the bird, and that is just watch the bird. Just say the words. Find a situation that you feel comfortable being authoritative, that you believe is a situation that you can be authoritative, and then say the words. Find a situation where you feel fun and happy, say the words. Now, finding the situation, a lot of different ways to do that, which is what we talk about in all the classes and coaching and those kinds of things. But in the end, when you boil it down, it's fairly simple. Just say the words. Just watch the bird. Don't worry about what anybody thinks about you watching the bird, because now you've just ruined it. You're no longer watching the bird. You're thinking about what you should be saying in order to watch the bird. And that's no longer authentic, because now the thinking has gotten in the way. So just enjoy watching the bird. Just say the words. That's it.
Mike, what are you doing?
I was just looking at a bird.
The point was to just say the words.
Oh, the words, right. From the tip. What words? James Younger, our audio doctor and home studio whiz, is next with a tip that is priceless, especially after what Heidi and I continually hear when we do our industry pro nights with casting directors and agents. This is vital.
All right, a little tough love today. How does your audio sound? Good? Bad? Just okay? But more importantly, how would you know? You spend so much time training to deliver the perfect read, trying to find your own voice, interpret the directions given in the breakdown, finding the different specs and tones. You spend all this time and money so that you can compete with the top talent in the industry, but unfortunately, a lot of talent never get there, not because they don't have competitive reads or that they didn't break down the script as good as the other top talent, but because their audio just isn't as good. Their home studio isn't properly treated. Their microphone technique is off. They didn't properly set their levels. They're using inferior equipment. There's so many things that can ruin your audio. The vast majority of voice talent realize the necessity of training in order to get to a level of, the other top talent in the industry. Those top talent who have put in the time and the effort in the training. They realize they're not just born at the level of a Troy Baker, an Ashley Johnson, a James Arnold Taylor. You have to train. But for whatever reason, when it comes to their audio, that all goes right out the window. They just think, I'll figure it out when I get there. Or it sounds good to me. Or my voiceover coach told me my audio sounds fine. And then weeks, months, and even years later, they find out the hard way that they could have been booking so many more jobs this entire time. And that's of course after they have an audio professional give their audio a listen. Remember all the training you had to go through to finally get your first audition, then all the training you had to go through to finally book your first job, then all the training you had to go through to finally get your first agent? When during that time did you train to be able to discern good audio from bad audio? You didn't. And guess what? You shouldn't have to. Audio engineers go through years and years of training and ear training to be able to hear 5 seconds of your audio and immediately pick up on the problems that need to be corrected. Audio cannot be an afterthought. Audio is literally what we do here. A surgeon doesn't perform surgery with rusty tools just because they're a great surgeon with great technique. Your home studio matters. Your audio quality matters. Make sure you get your audio checked out by a trained professional, not a fellow voice actor, not your agent, not even your voiceover coach. I've had far too many students now tell me that their agent told them that their audio sounds good. A fellow voice actor told them their audio sounds good. Their voiceover coach told them their audio sounds good. And I hate to say it, but their audio did not sound good. It has to be someone who does this day in and day out and knows exactly what to listen for. If audio and ear training were easy, there wouldn't be audio experts and audio engineers. Until they check off on your audio and your home studio, you could be missing out on jobs. And you know what they say.
Heidi and I just had an industry pro night with Vince from DPN, and he, along with numerous other agents, all agree your home studio has to be professional, has to sound professional. His words, meaning it's got to sound great. And if you're not a trained engineer, it may sound good to you, but to an engineer, will they hear clean audio? Get an expert to listen and diagnose any issues. It is worth its weight in gold. And I can't tell you how vital it is to have your studio sound great. You may have a hum or a hiss, or even an echo. And James can help you get your home studio up to where it needs to be. Schedule a private consult with him at AtlantaVoiceOverStudio.com. Julie Scher and Casey Holloway lead our Intro to Kids VO and animation workshops at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio, and they're up next. Even though they teach the kids workshop, their advice is for talent of all ages. First up, Julie's talking something we highly encourage all voiceover talent to do.
One of the biggest things that I'm constantly saying to my students and to colleagues alike is to get yourself out of your booth and into an actual acting class. Yes, live, in-person acting class. Ideally, improv or sketch comedy. These types of classes really help to push you and to make different decisions as an actor, make new decisions, to commit to it, be in the moment, trust your instincts, helping yourself to be a little bit more grounded so that when you come into the booth and you're applying it to your scripts, you're just taking it to that very next level. These things really help you to become a well-rounded actor. And as we all know, voiceover really is acting. The other thing about it is it's incredible networking. Again, we're in our booth constantly. It's very isolating. Getting yourself out there is just so great for that reason, for networking and to help market yourself. Making those connections in this community is so very important. So that's all I gotta say about that. Have fun.
Next up, Casey's got some advice that can be vital to helping you in your audition.
So something that's been really helpful for me when I get an audition is I try to go ahead and research the product or the client, the brand. I might look up ads they've done before on YouTube or iSpot TV, might look at their website. I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for vibes, tones, energies they tend to lean into when they are marketing. I want to know who they're talking to, who's their audience, who are they trying to capture. And I use this along with any specs that they've given to inform my performance in my audition. So always recommend kind of researching the brand as much as possible. Even if it's a well-known brand, they might have changed voices over the last, few years. So it's good to look up their most recent stuff to see exactly what they're doing and the vibe they're going for right now.
I hope you enjoyed all these tips from some of our instructors, coaches, and workshop leaders, and that you can put some of these to work right away in your daily VO life. No matter where you are in your career, there's always something to learn. It's a craft to learn, and it's so rewarding. If you want more free help, we have a ton of videos on this channel for you, or you can check out our podcast wherever you like to listen to podcasts, AtlantaVoiceoverStudio.com. And if you want to fill in some of the places in your training you may be missing, check out what we have to offer, either in person or via Zoom at AtlantaVoiceoverStudio.com or on demand courses, ProVoiceOverTraining.com. Our goal is to equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover journey, just as we've been doing for years. The key is by taking it in bite-sized chunks. At this point, hundreds of people have come through our studio, learned the craft, and are off on their voiceover journey. And because we know how daunting it is and all the questions that come up, we've got an easy process of steps that make it easy. And that's for wherever you are in your voiceover career. Just let us know if we can help you, and we'll be cheering you on. If you have any questions or requests, leave a comment below. Until next time, get after it.
Not sure if you know this, but if you ever want to train with a professional, you can always go to AtlantaVoiceoverStudio.com and click on Private Coaches in the menu.
Yeah, we have a full list of coaches who will meet up with you live on Zoom and help you work on whatever you need. Whether you're trying to master the conversational natural read, you want to practice bringing a script to life as opposed to just reading it,
or if you'd like to make sure that your home studio is set up properly, we have a private coach for that. We're here to help you on your VO journey.